me. There was really no reason for the restraining order to be granted. So I challenged it. I did it myself. I didn't hire a lawyer because I really didn't think it would be necessary. There was really, nothing supporting Diane Rollert's claim to be very frightened of me, or anyone else's claim to be very frightened of me. And on top of that, there was the sermon of Reverend Diane Rollert, in which she made it clear that she suffered from a very severe phobia of flying, and so it was within possibility that she had developed an irrational fear of yours truly. Unfortunately, I got one of the worst judges in Quebec handling the hearings for the restraining order, one Roland Matt. When I mentioned the name of Roland Matt to various Montreal lawyers, you can see eyes rolling, and you can see that none of them consider Roland Matt to be a very good judge, and on the contrary, to be one of the most incompetent and also hard-nosed judges in Quebec. When I tried to question Reverend Diane Rollert about her flying phobia during the hearings, I asked her, do you have a fear of flying, or words to that effect? And she came back with no. She denied having any, flying phobia, fear of flying, even though she had posted a, sermon to the internet that it clearly spoke about a very, very severe flying phobia. So I tried to follow up that answer of no with some other questions. Essentially, my next question was, well, did you write this sermon? And I had a copy with me. And at that point, Roland Matt prevented me from asking that. She said, no, she answered, that's it, that's all. You have no right to further cross-examine her on that point. So as far as I'm concerned, Reverend Diane Rollert lied under oath in this hearing that was intended to end up with a restraining order being granted that would have forced an end to my protest for at least 1 year, and in the hopes and dreams of Reverend Diane Rollert and other leading Montreal Unitarians for ever. They really believe that if they could get this restraining order, that they could have it extended indefinitely. Obviously that's not true, because here I am today. And in fact, to make a long story short, they did get a 1-year restraining order thanks to Roland Matt basically giving a restraining order that there was really no reason to give. But getting back to Reverend Diane Rollert saying no, she had no phobia of flying. Well, certainly from my perspective, this was a lie. This was not true. She had clearly not only written a sermon, but had delivered it, from my understanding, she delivered it at the Unitarian Church of Montreal, if I'm not mistaken. She also delivered it at another church. So she delivered this sermon at least twice, which clearly spoke of being very, very, very frightened of flying. Police coming by here, but I suspect it's just a routine drive-by. Section Metro, so it's got nothing to do with yours truly. Good day. So getting back to Diane Rollert's perjury, as far as I'm concerned, well, in the strictest sense, and this is sort of information that I got from David Rollert, her husband. David Rollert said, oh, well, she got over her fear of flying. So in other words, at the time that I asked Reverend Diane Rollert if she had a flying phobia, which would have been around 2008 or so, according to David Rollert, oh, well, she had got over it by that point. So in other words, maybe she was, in the absolute strictest sense, telling the truth when she didn't have a flying phobia, because she'd actually somehow managed to cure herself of it. But on the other hand, the answer was very misleading in terms of her past history. And if I'd been able to follow up with questions, as I should have been able to, it would have been possible for me to demonstrate, well, in the past, Reverend Diane Roller did in fact have a very severe flying phobia, and this, calls into question, the reasonableness of her claim to be very, very frightened of me, because there really were virtually no valid reasons for her or anyone else to be very, very frightened of me, and yet here she was claiming to be very, very frightened of me, as were several other members of the church who she rounded up to sign affidavits to the pretty much same effect. So in the end, on the basis of Reverend Diane Rollert's lies, essentially, or exaggerations, the restraining order was granted, and so I was basically not able to protest in front of the Unitarian Church in Montreal for 1 full year, because that's how restraining orders work. They're on a year-by-year basis. But, when it was over, I basically had a 1-year holiday from protesting, and I pretty much said that on my way out of the court once the restraining order had been granted. I said, well, thanks for the holiday, I'll be back, kind of thing. And I did come back. Basically I came back the very first Sunday after the restraining order expired, and I resumed my protest. And I was standing near the entrance to the church, right about here. So you're right at the edge of the sidewalk here. Reverend Diane Rollert came out and stood on the steps there. So she was not more than 7 or 8 feet away from me at most. She came out, marched right up, and said, you have no right to be here. Didn't sound like a woman who was very, very frightened of me. I should add that she was more or less unaccompanied. There weren't a whole lot of people with her. There were some other people there, but she more or less came out on her own, and quite authoritatively, quite forcefully told me, you have no right to be here, when in fact I did. And this indicates to me that these are not the actions of a woman who's very, very frightened of me at all. If she can... Good day, sir.
Good day. So what's happening today? Something's happening, obviously.
Well, actually, it's been happening for quite a long time.
Yeah.
It's not just today. I've been protesting here for quite some time.
You're protesting. You're personally protesting.
Well, I'm holding picket signs, aren't I?
Yeah. It's for the church or what?
No, it's against problems with the church.
Oh, what?
It's against problems with the church, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. No funny. I thought that they were pretty friendly.
Well, they like to be nice in quotation marks.
We're members of the church, and if you want more information about the whole history here, then you're welcome to come in. We have a little letter from our board of directors that describes the story.
So this is
I'm from
protesting.
inside.
Oh, you're from inside.
I'm from inside. We're the bad people inside.
You are indeed the bad people inside. You are totally complicit in Unitarian Universalist injustices and abuse and hypocrisy that I've been protesting against for almost 20 years now, and you know it. And on top of that, right now, because the Unitarian Universalist Association accused me of blasphemous and libel to hide rape, you are complicit in that too. You are complicit in Unitarian Universalist cover-up and denial of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers. I hope you're very proud of yourself. So she said, she said they have a letter.
Yeah.
and I'm sure they do. I've heard about it. So they have a letter.
You don't go inside and read.
I'm not allowed to go inside. I was kicked out. They would charge me with trespassing if I tried to go inside. But what I'm saying is that they have a letter, which they hand out, which gives, you know, their side of the story,
Right.
which is bullshit.
Okay.
I mean, I would actually encourage you to get that letter.
Okay.
In fact, I'd even ask you to get a copy for me because I'd like to see it, you know, because it's complete bullshit. I am protesting against very serious issues,
Oh, yeah.
and they kicked me out of the church initially for complaining about anti-religious intolerance and bigotry.
How long ago?
1999.
So this has been going, for 17 years now.
Actually, I think it's 18.
Okay, 18.
Or 9, yeah. Well, the protest began in 1998. They kicked me out in 1999.
So it took a year to kick you out.
It took more than a year.
So you used to be part of them.
Yes, I used to be a member.
So what turned you off?
Anti-religious intolerance and bigotry, as I said. What you may not know about the Unitarian Church is that it includes atheists. And not all of the atheists, but some of them are anti-religious bigots. So if you come to a Unitarian Church
Yes.
and you believe in God, if you're a Christian, you might be badly treated by the anti-religious atheists.
Well, you take the chance.
No, but what I'm saying
There's
is,
some Jewish people that belong here.
yeah, pseudo-Jewish people. But what I'm getting at is you know, if you can be a God-believing person,
Yes.
you know, the Jewish people that belong here, they're probably secular Jews. They probably don't believe in God. They're probably atheist Jews, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean?
don't.
You know, yeah. Not, you know, it's possible they believe in God too, but essentially, most likely they're secular Jews. They have a Jewish, you know, heritage, but they don't believe in God anymore, and you know, they come to Unitarian Church. This church is populated mostly by atheists. Yeah, it's hard to believe, but that's the, you know, the people who are accusing me of blasphemy are atheists. It's hilarious.
Well, you seem to be enjoying it. I mean, you're putting a lot of energy
Wouldn't
into
you
it.
enjoy it if you were accused of blasphemy in the 21st century by atheists? It's a joke.
Well, it's a joke. Yeah,
It's also very serious, but it's a fiasco, is what it is.
well, it seems to me
But yeah, I mean,
they do
I
quite
do-
a few good things, though, these people here.
Well, so does Roman Catholic Church, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
also have a clergy sex abuse problem. So, and you know what? A lot of what they do is tokenism. You know, like a lot of the, you know, so-called good things they do, it's more like posturing. You know,
But that's true of every